So welcome to our review of Street Fighter 6, the brand new game from Capcom. We finally got to 6 in the series. I will ask you guys, are you looking forward to Street Fighter 6? Let me know in the comments below. And I'm very honored today, because I have Behrudys here, and he's done commentary for Evo, and he's also done a lot of fighting game tutorials. Check his channel out down below. And Behrudys is the secret sauce today to this review. We've been playing in the other room. We've been playing the one-player modes on our own. We're here to talk about this game, but we have to go back to the past for a second and talk about a launch that kind of ruined it for a certain game, and that was Street Fighter 5. The game came out. There was no arcade mode. Remember that? It was crazy. There was none of that. We were getting a little frustrated. I remember I couldn't even go online. I was really frustrated with the Street Fighter 5, and I enjoyed the game. I ended up finding some fun in it, but I never got with the program. Yeah. What was your thoughts on it? Because it's going to lead into this one. We have to talk about it.
We're not talking anything too bad about Street Fighter 5. It did have one of the most disastrous launches, I think, of like any fighting game that I could remember in recent history. Yeah. But it ended up actually being fairly solid by the end of it, but it took a long time to get there.
It did.
And that was the problem. And that's why we're going to transition to Street Fighter 6, because it feels like this game is just oozing with confidence from Capcom. Yeah. As you can tell, that there was closed betas, there was multiple open betas, there was a demo that released a month before launch.
Yeah.
And what did you think, John?
Well, what's interesting is, what we were talking about in the other room is, Street Fighter 5 was like the presents that you didn't get at Christmas. So you went down, you're like, where's my present? Where's my present? There's no present there. Whereas Street Fighter 6, they're like, oh my God, we've got to. You run downstairs, there's so many presents under the Christmas tree. That's kind of it. And what's realistically there is the one-player mode that we absolutely love. And we got to say that I love the one-player mode in this. I'm not going to be competing online a lot against players around the world, but that's a good thing for anybody who feels like me. You can just play the one-player mode, World Tour mode. What is your thoughts about this?
John, I know I'm here speaking as the guy who commentates tournaments and played at a high level before and done all that whole tournament esports stuff. But what I love most about Street Fighter 6 is just the amount of content that's in there for the single player, for the person who doesn't even want to compete or play advanced. Yeah. And the World Tour has been so much fun. This is the Street Fighter version of Yakuza.
Yes, it is.
You know,
or Shenmue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a game back in the day called Mortal Kombat Deception, which had something called a Conquest mode, if anyone ever remembers that. And a lot of Mortal Kombat fans loved the Conquest mode. This is essentially Street Fighter's version of Conquest mode. Yeah. And it is so much fun. I've had so many laughs going through this. There's so many Easter.
Definitely. Like, even for myself, I made, because you start off, you can make your character. There's so many different versions of a character you can make here. So many options. It's ridiculous. I was like, what am I going to do? In the end, I just ended up, making Mike Hager from Final Fight. And it's perfect because it takes place in Metro City.
It does.
And I'm running around and I'm walking up to people and I'm like, wait a second, I can fight anybody in the city. And all of a sudden this old woman comes up. I'm like, you want to go, lady? This is my city. And all of a sudden I'm absolutely kicking the crap out of an old woman. And I'm having a great amount of fun in a video game.
Yes, John, I'm so happy you said that, because you learn, you meet the masters, which are the other main characters in Street Fighter 6, and you learn their moves, so you can actually challenge people by using their special moves. So I was like using it's called the Rising Uppercut from Luke, which is like the Shoryuken, and I was Shoryukening like old people in the back of their heads to challenge them, and I felt like a terrible person. But it was making me laugh so much.
I know, it really was. I'm just running around, just biting everybody. And then all of a sudden I run into Chun-Li. She teaches me her style, and I'm Hager using Chun-Li's style. And I'm like, this is so much fun. Yeah. And I'm walking around, I can buy items and upgrade my characters, buy hats, buy whatever. Yeah. And I'm looking for my overalls for Hager still. I'm looking for that. That's probably later on.
Yeah, the store changes actually every day, so you have an incentive to keep going back there and buying new things. And there's also mini games in there. I actually spend way too much time, I think, with some of the mini games because I just couldn't stop doing them. Right. It's a bunch of side missions where you just go on like ridiculous quests.
Fighting like 8 people at a time. It's like crazy.
Fighting drones that are coming at you.
But I absolutely love the one-player mode. It's so robust. There's so much to it. I love it because I love RPGs, leveling up system. Yeah. I just keep leveling up my character, and I'm like, I like this. So most of my time, I gotta say, was spent in this mode.
Yeah.
And it's the best mode for anybody who wants to have a single player experience, doesn't want to go online and get your ass kicked by incredible players around the world. But that is the thing, you have played online. What did you think about that?
You know, so there's the main online mode, which is called Battle Hub. We didn't really have access to that up until, obviously, the closed betas and the open betas, and luckily I was lucky enough to be a part of some of those. And I really love the environment of you being able to use your personalized, created character and walk around and challenge people who are just sitting on an arcade cabinet. You know, you can have your match settings kind of on if you want to just challenge anyone while you're walking around, and kind of like a fight request option that's in every other fighting game. But if you just want to walk up to a cabinet and then play against someone, or you see someone in the Battle Hub world, you could just play against them. And I love that. I love that you use your avatar as kind of an extension of yourself. And there's also a section which, you know, we've seen in the trailers, which I'm very excited about, where you actually have access to some of the older Capcom fighting games that you can play within Street Fighter 6. So it seems like there's Street Fighter 2 in there, and hints of Alpha being in there. So it's kind of a love letter to Street Fighter fans.
A lot of fan service.
And I love that.
Yes,
I love that so much.
And that's spread out all throughout the one-player mode, into Battle Hub, and then into the main game itself, which is Fighting Grounds. And you got arcade in there, you can practice in there, you got versus in there, you got special matches, and obviously online. So you can already see there's a lot in this game, and I gotta say the special matches are ridiculous. I was like, what is this? Like, I'm fighting against a CPU character, and I'm like, oh, you can have bulls come through, you gotta dodge the bulls. I'm like, this is Capcom is having fun.
Yes,
They're having fun. It's not just a straight, this is a competitive game. No fun.
Street Fighter 6 does not take itself seriously, and that's very obvious from the first time you play it. And I love that so much about the game. At first I was a little like, okay, this might be a little bit too goofy, but I really enjoyed the fact that, again, it's really trying to appeal to the mass market. And just kind of, Street Fighter's always kind of been funny. Right. You know, if you think back on it, there's a lot of like
background stuff.
So the fact that they're kind of playing on that, you know, and the game, as John says, is kind of split into, from the title screen, into 3 different sections: the World Tour, the Battle Hub, and then the Battlegrounds. Yes. And it's almost like 3 games in one, it feels like, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you can walk in there and figure out what is for you. You can just go and do the one-player mode and then go, oh, you know what, I'm feeling like I just want to do the Battle Hub. I can go and do that. Or maybe I'll just go do some stupid matches with my friends. But there's also a very robust one-on-one fighting game that we have to talk about using the drive gauge, which is the brand new thing. We were playing in the other room. Behrudys was showing me, or should I say, was schooling me in the arts of this brand new game.
John was doing excellent, by the way. He's a very quick learner. He downplays himself
I'm not. I don't compete competitively anymore. That's long over for me. I'm just there to have a good time. This guy is a tyrant. But he was really showing me about the drive gauge and how fantastic it is, and what a crazy game this is. We were talking about this in the other room. Yeah. It's crazy in the sense you have so much possibilities of what you can do. You can't just spam fireballs anymore. It's not that game anymore. And I kind of like that, because I was a fireball spammer for years, and I'm glad they've kind of changed that up a little bit. What do you think of the main game?
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of the mechanics so far. There's a lot of inspiration from Street Fighter Third Strike with the parry. Yes. There's the drive impact, which kind of feels like focus attack from Street Fighter 4, which we have right here. This is I'm considered an 09er, by the way. You're an OG because you started playing Street Fighter from the get-go. So there's these influences from the previous titles, and it kind of has its own Street Fighter 6 flavor mixed into it. And it feels very fluid, and there's always something that's talked about in a high-level play called the mental stack, which is all the things you have to think about when you're playing a fighting game, which is the fireballs, the jump-ins, the throws. These are all things you're juggling in your mind to look out for. In Street Fighter 6, the mental stack is going to be very high, meaning that there is a lot to think about. You have to really respect the drive rushes in. You have to respect the drive impact, which is an armored move. There is a lot to juggle. Now, I'm saying this not to scare you. This is all.
I was scared jumping into this one, honestly, because a new Street Fighter is always a lot to learn, and you're like, wait a second, and all of a sudden you start playing it, you start getting your ass kicked, you're like, oh man, but you start getting it.
You start getting it, exactly. I'm only talking about like at a high, the skill ceiling for this game is going to be extremely high. It might be one of the hardest Street Fighter games to play, to be honest with you. Yeah. But I say this also knowing that this game is also very easy to get into. They've actually included something called modern controls, which has been kind of the talk of the town.
I'm a bit controversial on this, but you know.
It's the talk of the town within the fighting game community, right? Because they are tournament legal.
Crazy.
And you can pretty much do like one button special moves
It's
by holding a direction.
crazy that.
Yeah, it's gonna be, we're gonna see how this all turns out.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm actually a fan that they're adding these kind of systems because for me, I just want as many people to enjoy Street Fighter as possible.
Yeah.
And that couldn't really happen with this game here. You know,
Yeah.
this game was very esports focused as soon as it launched. It got better as it went on. But Street Fighter 6 from the get-go was thinking about everyone.
Yeah, everybody.
And
And the tournament, the one player person,
Yes.
all of that. And I think they've done a really good job of it. Like, I was having a great time getting my ass kicked by this guy. I was like, this is amazing. But I was starting to get it, and the drive gauge is really fantastic. When to use it, when to not use it.
Yeah.
You know, when to spam fireballs, when not to. Don't spam
Yeah,
fireballs.
and he caught on so quick. Like as soon as I was kind of explaining some of the mechanics deeply to you,
Yeah.
you were using them at such a good time. You were catching my fireballs.
Well,
and you were
I'm
really-
walking in, playing it the Street Fighter 2 way,
Yeah.
which has always been there through all of them. But this shakes it up.
Shakes it up, yeah.
With these things, with these new techniques in there and all of that. What do you think of the new characters?
I love them. This is a great question.
Yeah.
Because I am a Street Fighter 4 guy.
Yeah.
But I admit in Street Fighter 4, there were some funky character designs that I was not a fan of.
Wow.
Like, I didn't love Rufus.
Yeah.
I didn't love Hakan. I didn't love... Street Fighter 6 might be my favorite set of new cast characters.
Because they're so stylized. They're
so stylized.
So
That's the word.
cool.
That's
looking.
the word,
They-
yeah.
in every single pose, they look amazing. These are really beautiful graphics. We haven't even talked about that.
Yeah.
The characters are so well rendered out. The backgrounds work. So I like these characters, and I'm picky too.
Yeah,
And I saw
yeah.
these new characters, and I'm like, at first I'm like, I don't know, and then you start trying them out, giving them a go, and you're like, this is working for me.
is very
It's
cool,
got a really
yeah.
nice aesthetic to it.
I think
for
the
sure.
world fell in love with Kimberly. I think
Yeah,
she's
definitely,
amazing. I think
definitely.
everyone is so excited to try JP, who's kind of like the new mysterious character in the game. Everyone's been super impressed with these designs and is excited about them.
Except for one for me. I know I'm being nitpicky, and I know it's part of the story, and I'm not going to ruin the story for anybody. The way Ken looks, man, he looks like a homeless guy, and I respect that because it's part of the story. But I'm like, oh man, when I'm controlling him, I'm not loving it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe it'll grow on me. Some DLC in the future to get back the old Ken. I'll be happy.
This is one thing that John and I had disagreed about because I actually don't mind the new Ken. I love that he's kind of like in this underdog story and he's trying to make his
understand,
come
yeah.
up and trying to like clear his name.
I get that.
That kind of, I don't know, to me, I love Ken as well. Not as much as you, but you're
Yeah.
you're the real Ken fan, so you
Yeah.
have more say in this, but
But it's a small nitpick. And I just want to add that one of my biggest fears of the game was the music. And it's okay, but it's honestly been one of those things that's been growing on me the more I've been playing it. Anything else you want to say about this game?
you know, again, just to kind of conclude it, this is a celebration for Street Fighter fans, new or old. If you're just looking for an experience to live this world and be in this world and to see these characters and engage with these characters in different ways, this is the right Street Fighter game for you. It might seem like a lot to take in for a new player,
Right.
but there is so much jam-packed into this game that it really is one of my favorite Street Fighter experiences so far that I've had in a very long time. Favorite fighting game experience I've had in a long time.
Mine too, because most fighting games these days is just the fighting game. This is a full-blown RPG Street Fighter game
Yeah.
that you can take your character online. That's unbelievable. That's really cool alone, but you have the tournament and stuff. You can play with your friends, this battle hub. I mean, there's a lot to take in here and there's a lot to do. And so I think if you're on the fence, I'd say World Tour mode will throw you over the edge.
Yeah.
That's the one that won it for me. I started doing some of the competitive stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. But when I went to World Tour, big smiles in
Yeah.
the face, loving it, loving the grind, loving the characters, very funny stuff too. I am really enjoying this Street Fighter, and I gotta say, I was lukewarm in the whole idea to begin with. But it's the more you play the game, the more you get out of it.
Yeah.
It really is. So you have to
Agreed.
invest yourself into it to learn the drive gauge, the drive parry, learning that.
There's a lot.
There's a lot, but spend a bit of time doing it, and then all of a sudden the game opens up and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
They really created an amazing Street Fighter experience. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think this is the game to try. If you're looking to get into the fighting game community and to get into fighting games, even if you've never touched one before or in decades, this is the one to get into.
Bring in the heat!
And I've got to agree 100% with Bear on that. Loving this Street Fighter. High recommendation. Up there as one of my games of the year for sure. So anyways, guys, until next time.